athletes develop proficiency, assisting a passion for the game they love. Today is going to be a very hot topic. We are going to be talking about today. The MLB draft is just taken off yesterday. It is going to be a blast talking about that. Also, for you guys that are listening today, we're going to be talking about what does it take to be a JUCO baseball player today in 2025. For someone that's playing JUCO baseball, we're going to answer those questions, and we're going to talk about what are the three things you need to do to prepare to be a JUCO player in 2025. Because a lot of times, people want to know from someone that's already playing the game every day, what do you do to prepare? And also, we're going to be talking about, is it ever too late to chase that dream? Mm, because some people say, well, I'm getting old, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. We're going to talk to someone that has hands-on experience, like right now, 2025, playing JUCO baseball, and we're going to reveal much, much more. But I'm going to this sponsor is going to be brought to you by YouGoin Pro, and the question I want to ask you guys: are you guys trying to get to that next level? Do you want to play D1 baseball, or are you playing travel baseball? Guess what? I got a secret coming out. I got a best-selling book coming out September 23rd, 2025. You want to go to RUD1.com. RUD1, that's ARED1.com. And guess what? Pre-orders will be made in a couple of weeks. Stay tuned. Go to that book. I want you to get it because you're going to have all these great tips. This is your very own Coach Larry. And we have his name very own episode 94 today. 94. He is not a stranger to the show today. He is on several shows. But I think it was like number 38 or 45. And unfortunately, we couldn't get it through, but we're going to get it through today. Very own Aaron Russell. And he is the very own coach, player, JUCO player. And we're going to tell you much, much more about him. How you doing, Aaron?
Just another day in paradise, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. And, I'm glad that we finally had a chance to get back and meet again. But I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to talk about some things that, being a JUCO baseball player. We're not going to tell the audience about your age or your situation or how you got to where you are, but we're going to get right into the first question I want to ask you is this. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
JUCO baseball, people think JUCO baseball is a joke. They really do. Most people think it's a joke. If you're not going D1, you're not playing baseball. And the last time I checked, Aaron, baseball is baseball.
Absolutely.
And you still got to hit a baseball. You still got to catch it. You still got to throw it. And, for you yourself, your journey was a little different from most people, which we're going to get into that as well. Can you give us, what was it like being a JUCO player in today's 2025? What was your first day experience being a JUCO experience?
I think the biggest part of the experience for JUCO is it is solely on you. You don't have, mom, dad, a coach who's kind of leading you through the way all the time, trainers, nutritionists, and all these things that come with these higher level programs. You are your own everything for the most part. And if it really is what you make it. You can do the bare minimum, your mandatory practices, your classes, or you can be that JUCO grinder and live in the weight room, get extra work in. There's JUCO, in my opinion, it is what you make it.
Okay.
You can do the bare minimum and scrape by, or you can use it as a trampoline to jump you up to whatever level you want to take yourself to. But it's going to be dependent on how much you're willing to dedicate your time to that.
That's pretty good. I like what you said. Because people think JUCO is a joke. They really do think it's a joke. So for the people that are listening, you're talking to Aaron Russell. He's a JUCO player as well. As of today, 2025. So this is not something that's been recorded in 2020, 2019, 2018. This is today, live, here on the YouGoin Pro Podcast, episode 94. My next question is this, Aaron, and thanks for that answer. JUCO baseball, as far as competition, what was the competition like, for you coming in? Don't tell the listener your age yet, but What was it like your first time playing your very first game?
I was scared as hell.
You said
Uh,
scared.
it's just because JUCO is such a wide variety of talent. You'll have, guys that are just there because it's in their hometown and they love baseball, so they're playing. So that you might, like, from a hitter standpoint, you might see a kid throwing, 75, but he's just there to eat innings, and he's there because his sister's cousin is related to the coach, so he gave him a spot. But then you also might face a guy who went D1 right out of high school, but either had an injury, failed a class, or had something happen that kind of bumped him back. So you might see a guy throwing in the 90s, to start the game, but by the fifth inning, depending on the game, whether you're up by 15 or down by 15, there might just be someone there eating innings. So you could literally in the same game go from seeing 70 to 95 within 20 minutes. Could you just like JUCO is the ultimate test of who can make the adjustments, because
Wow.
you're seeing the whole spectrum.
I like that. What you said. Make the adjustments. A lot of times, us as athletes, and I say us because of my plate as well. The one thing about baseball is all about adjustments,
Yeah,
and life is about adjustments. It goes together with life. It goes together with baseball. But since we're talking about baseball, one of the things that for the listeners now, and you want to talk about this, if you really, really want to get to that next level, sometimes you're gonna have interruptions.
yeah,
Life's gonna give you interruptions, and I'm gonna use this analogy. Is like, okay, you just made a great analogy about a guy coming in throwing gas and a guy throwing slow. That's an adjustment. That's a huge adjustment.
yeah.
And a
Hard.
lot of people can't handle that. They don't know how to adjust because they're so used to playing. Either they're used to a pitcher throwing, let's just use a number, 90, or a guy that's throwing 60. So, it's a mind thing, but also it's an eye thing as well.
Well,
Because one of my favorite players, and people know that listen to my podcast and also my YouTube channel. And if you want to check out my YouTube channel, go to YouTube and hit YouGoin Pro, and I talk about this as well. But my very number one player that I love and I looked up to was Barry Bonds, and his favorite analogy was this: I have a bat and you have a ball. My bat is the glove, and I'm going to catch it. So it doesn't matter how fast you throw it or how slow you throw it, I'm going to hit it. But I think that comes from just having confidence and also a mind shift. Talk about the mind shift that you had to have when you made that transition, because you didn't come just out of high school.
yeah.
You just so your story is a little different. So how was that shift for you as a player, and how did you make those adjustments?
I think the biggest shift, and I think the most important part of it for me, is I had to always remember, I'm not necessarily a baseball player. I'm an athlete.
Mm,
You develop your plan and your approach, but the second you step in that box as a hitter, you're simply reacting. And I trust my reactions as an athlete. I trust my eyes. I don't like, to play on the Barry Bonds thing. There's not a ball in this world that I don't think I could catch. I don't care how hard you throw it. If I
mm-hmm.
can see it, I can catch it. And that had to be my mindset. So what I would do is, like, I'm a thinker,
Okay.
but I also know when I step in the box, it's no longer time to think. It's time to react, and it's time to execute your plan. And I think that's probably the most important part of it is you have your plan, you have the idea of what you want to do, and you hear the saying all the time, think outside the box. I think that was made for baseball solely, because the second you step in and you're in that moment, it's about execution, um, and not thinking and just reacting to what you want to execute. But that's why you have to have a plan. You can't, if you don't know what you want to do, how can you execute that? So you got to have a plan. But then once you step in there, it's not time to think. Because if you're
Mm,
thinking,
keep
you
going.
missed it. It's
Keep
right
going.
by you. You know what I mean? So you got to have your plan and then be able to react and execute. And like you were just saying, you got to be able to make that adjustment in the moment. And that's where I think most athletes struggle, is the adjustments on the fly. But if you really want to make adjustments on the fly, you have to be willing to prepare when it's not the pressure moment. You have to be ready for that moment. And I think, with everything that I've been through, like, I'm ready for the moment because I am a thinker, but I know when to think and I know when to execute and react. And that's, to me, that's hitting. That's baseball. That's life.
Mm. And also, you said something was, I'm gonna go ahead back to what you just said. Where there's no vision, the people cast off and restraints. So basically, if you don't have a vision, you're running scattered. You don't know what to do. You got to have a vision. You got to know where you're going. What direction are we going? Where are you being led? Listen, execute, and dominate. So, it's interesting you said that because a lot of young kids, and I'm saying young, not to say that I'm old or you're old or whatever the case is, a lot of young people come from high schoolers that are coming in. And you talked about playing JUCO ball. There's a lot of guys that are play D1 ball that didn't, for some odd reason, they're back at JUCO. And people think that's a downgrade, but I don't think it's a downgrade. I think it's a lesson learned. Let's put it that way, because I personally believe there's such things as wins, lessons, and losses. You're gonna win no matter what. Depends on what team you're on. And I don't want to get into deep into that, but there's three things. It's not win or loss. It's wins, lessons, and losses. And the reason I said that is because let me break it down to you. There's a difference between being a good player and a great player and a Hall of Famer.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of good players. I was a good player. I was a good player. I wasn't great, but I was good, very good. And I'm not a Hall of Famer. There's a difference. There's different levels of that. And I said that because, which leads me to the next question. Can you give the listeners three things that they need to know to be a great JUCO player to accelerate to the next level?
I think the most important element is you have to be willing to go alone, because at JUCO, in college, and even just life in general, your friends may not have the same goals and dreams as you. But they're going to say, Aaron, skip this workout. Come to this party with me. Yo, let's play the game for a little while, man. Let's not do that. You have to be willing to say, nah, man, I'm gonna go get this workout in, and then I'll meet up with you. It can't be tomorrow. It can't be I'll get it later. Do it now. And I think that's probably the most important takeaway. Another thing would be, like, get really good at being a student, because one, you need to remain academically eligible. Another part of that is baseball is going to end, and you have to have something to fall back on. And if you learn how to be a good student in the classroom, you can apply that to baseball, because you need to become a student of the game. Baseball is for thinkers, for guys that are prepared and willing to learn, and you have to be constantly willing to learn. And I think the third thing, and I think this might also be like a 1A, is don't let your insecurities hold you back. You have to be in control of your mind and emotion and not let it control you. And I think the easiest way to understand it is think about the way you played when you were 10, before you cared about who was watching or who wasn't watching. You played fearlessly. You weren't worried about how stupid you were going to look. You just wanted to make the play. You just wanted to put the ball in play. And I think another part of being a baseball player, as a kid, is you get really excited for your teammates. You're not a closet hater. How many times do you see players, a kid goes 4 for 4, and you're clapping, but inside you're like, man, damn it, I want that for me. Don't let jealousy and envy of someone else's success deter your success, because it has nothing to do with you. If your teammate goes 4 for 4, you should be up cheering, screaming the same way these 10-year-olds will do when you watch a local game. And to play off that, don't forget why you play the game. You love it. You don't play for the result, you play for the love. And in the world we live in, we've become so obsessed with numbers and stats. And a lot of people say you're only as good as your last Instagram post. That's not true at all. You are good because you are you. You are unique. You are an individual. And you can't compare yourself to anyone else. And I think those are the three most important elements of the game. Be a student. Don't let your insecurities, rule you. And I don't even remember what I said for the first one.
I don't remember the first one either, but it was good.
I
I
know
can't
it's a good
remember the
one.
first one. Aaron, that
But
was good. But you said the last
yeah.
one you said was team player. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. Just be a team player.
Yeah.
Team player. It's interesting. I'm laughing because I'm happy what you're saying. I mean, oh, it's just good. If this is episode 94, and YouGoin Pro Podcast, very own Aaron Russell, JUCO player right now, 2025, we're talking about the pros and cons of being a JUCO player. That's the basic of today's episode. And it's interesting you said that because I'm not gonna give out too much information, but the book that I'm writing is almost done. Get ready to hit the press. And then I had to hit the editing part. But anyway, there's several things you're saying is in my book.
Awesome.
It's in the book. And so for the people, you want to get this book. So Are You Really D1 is the name of it. Are You Really D1? That's a great catch. But going to the next question, I want to hit this because you hit it good. And you talked about being a student of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you're talking about athletically and academically. And it's funny that you said that because being a student of the game, people think is just, I'm just going to break it down. There's a lot of players that just play baseball because they want to go to the show. They want to go to the league and they think they can get there. I'm not a dream hater. I'm not a dream crusher. But the most powerful thing you just said was, you need to be a student of the game. People think when you say student, you think just sports. Mm-mm. Student of the game, of life. Okay, when I say life, we're talking about completeness, wholeness, nothing missing, nothing broken. We're talking about every aspect of your life. That's the purpose of YouGoin Pro. That was the main reason of the show. I had a mission to help athletes be whole in every aspect of their life. YouGoin Pro. That means not just in sports. That means in everything. Do you catch what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so people,
life.
Because people think that, well, what do you mean you're going pro? Well, you're going pro in something. You're going pro in something. You're going to be a pro. You're going to be a professional in something. And so with that, I'm saying that because a lot of kids don't think studying is important. And then all of a sudden it wind up catching them later, hitting them in the butt. I'm like, man. And then they wind up, I'm saying this because I know it worked. It happens. Guys that thought they're going to go D1 or go to their dream school, it didn't happen. They didn't have a scholarship or they didn't have a position or they didn't have a spot. And then now they're looking around like, whoa, woe is me. What's next? Well, one reason you didn't get it because you didn't have your grades up. Because at these top schools, I'm not going to say any names, but top schools, let's just call it what it is. We know who won the World Series this year. LSU won it, playing Coastal Carolina. You had Arkansas was in there. You had all these great schools, and Murray State was in there. But I can guarantee you this, 99.9% of those guys on the team had to keep their grades up, period. Now, I do know that some guys are doing some finagling. I do know that because it goes on. I mean, you can't tell me, but you better keep your grades up because at the end of the day, if you hurt that arm or you pull that knee or you have a Tommy John and you broke it or you did it 3 times, your career may be over.
Right.
So, can you talk about the one tip you just talked about, the 3 tips? We talked about the 3 tips that you can give a JUCO player that you got from it, but talk about team player. It's 9 players on the team. It's 9 players on the team, not one. This is not tennis. This ain't boxing. This ain't golf. This is baseball. All of us have a job to do. Talk about the team player. Why that's so important? Because a lot of kids don't care about that.
Nah.
Talk about the pros and cons of being a team player.
I don't think there's any cons to it at all.
I like that.
Because in this life, you got to be willing to help people be successful because it's going to lead to you being successful, and they're going to be more willing to help you. But as for baseball as a team player, there's so many different levels to it because if you're one of the 9 in the game, if they're batting 10, then you can obviously help your team by, results on the field. But for me and for others, like there's going to be times where, especially in college, as a freshman, like you may not see the field the entire season, but you're going to be at, 50 plus games.
That's right.
So what I try to do is, what can I do to help the players who are actively involved life a little bit easier? And that can be, watching the pitcher and picking up on his tells. For the first baseman, when he comes off the field, I have the balls ready to give to him, so he's ready to go back out on the field. So they're never looking for baseballs. Same thing for the center fielder. You find little ways to be helpful, to make their life easier. You see, or if you see someone going through something, being a good teammate is learning which players need, the encouragement, and then which players need to be left alone when they're, in their feelings, and which players need you to get in their behind a little bit and be like, like you're being selfish. Like, don't make this about you ever, because you're helping regulate emotions and keeping them, mentally focused and doing other things. And I think part of being a teammate is just learning to see what is needed before it's needed. You're 2 steps ahead because you're in the role of observation. And as an observer, you're looking and you're calculating, trying to figure out what's next, so you're already ready. But I think another important part of that is being ready, because you just never know when you're going to be thrown into the game. So you got to be quickly able to just, make the shift. And even it just mean you're going to catch, a bullpen, because at JUCO, you might not have bullpen catchers. You might never put on a catcher's mask in your life, but you got to be willing to go catch a bullpen if needed. You got to be willing, if you're not going to play, but they need, you're getting ready for the next game. You might just be a base runner, but you need to run the bases to the best of your ability to help the other players get better. They might need you to throw BP, so you need to be able to throw a competitive BP to help your players get better. You have to be willing as a teammate to do whatever it takes to help those 9 or 10 become more successful. And the good coaches are going to see that. And the good coaches, even at the next level, might be like, hey, I didn't see this kid play a single inning, but what I did see, he was always ready to play every inning, and he was always there for his teammates. And to me, that's what's going to move over to the next part of your life when that baseball chapter closes, is you're going to be a good leader, because leaders aren't always in the front, especially if you look at a wolf pack. Leaders sometimes are in the back because they're doing all the things under the surface to help, whatever it is, run and be successful. And to me, that's the most important part of being a good teammate, is you're a leader. You're not there for the lights and the glamour and the clout and the light, on the internet. You're there for everyone's success, not just your success.
I gotta say, wow, because you're hitting some very, very key things. That is, you're all in my book. Let's put it that way. You're all in my book.
I mean, it sounds like you got a pretty good book there.
You're all in the book, and I'm saying that because, which leads me to the next question. For that high schooler that's coming out of high school, right? And he has to go JUCO. What are 3 things that you can tell me from your experience, what you've seen and what your experience, how, because most high schoolers don't have a routine. They don't have a routine. Just go play baseball. They wake up, their mom doesn't know what to do. They go into JUCO, it's out of state. They don't really want to be there, but they're there because this is what they have to do. How, or what can you tell them, 3 tips to give them 3 things to develop a routine for college life in baseball? 3 tips.
Find an upperclassman who is where you want to be. Find a good mentor. Don't spend a lot of your time doing mindless things or things that aren't bringing you closer to your goal. We take our youth for granted because we always think we're going to have tomorrow. Before, when you're 17 years old, you're going to really be blindsided by how quickly you become 25.
Yes, yes, you are.
Don't waste your time doing things that aren't bringing you closer to your goals.
Mm.
Um, and the third thing, for a high schooler coming into JUCO would probably be like get really, really familiar with the gym and nutrition, um, which can be challenging because eating good can be a little bit more pricey. But you got to treat yourself like that sports car. If you drive a Ferrari, you're not putting 87 in that Ferrari. You know what I mean? You need something high octane. You have to treat yourself as if you are that sports car. Fuel yourself with things that are high octane. And like the benefit with JUCO that I've seen is there's so many programs and people that are there that are going to help you be successful and help you get the fuel you need. But get strong, get fast, and take care of your body because we father time is undefeated, but you can prolong him winning if you take care of your body. Lift smart, stretch, drink a ton of water, leave those energy drinks alone. I saw so many teammates crushing 3 to 4 energy drinks, dry scooping C4 and pre-workout. I'm like, bro, like you are going to regret that. It is going to tear your insides up. But it doesn't in the moment.
Right.
But it'll catch you.
Right.
So really, really stretch, exercise, take care of your body, and not just with the physical aspect of it, man. Put good things into your body.
Wow. Man. Okay, I'm gonna read something else to you. This is very good. This is extremely. This is better than the last one we did, and we just touching the base. But I'm gonna give you I'm gonna back you up with something. It says, "Look therefore careful how we walk, not as unwise but wise." In other words, you talked about the 3 tips. That's a routine. You said, get a mentor. In other words, it says here, redeeming the time because the days are evil. In other words, you don't have time to waste. There's no time to waste. And that's the word, that's Ephesians 5:16. And then there's another one that says, let us not be weary in well doing. In due season we shall reap if we don't faint. You basically broke that thing down because you said have a mentor, stop wasting time, and you talked about the body. You said eat healthy as much as you possibly can, and physical training. Man, you're all in my book. And it's funny you said that because, when you're younger, you can get away with things.
Yeah.
Because I did it, but I'm older, but my body looks like I'm younger because I've learned the importance of the 3 things you said. And then not just in baseball, but in life, you said have a mentor. Basically, get around someone upper class, someone that knows more than you, that's better than you.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. That's number one. The second thing is stop wasting time. Redeem the time because the days are evil. And the third one was take care of your body and, train, because at the end of the day, that's your body. But I like that, man. That's extremely, extremely well. You're touching it all. You're hitting it all over the place, boy. You're hitting home run, boy. You ain't hitting a cycle. You're hitting a home run. You hit back to back, and that's really good. I appreciate that. Which leads me to that power question. Now that you made that transition to JUCO baseball, what can you tell a young man that's in high school now that has that JUCO, but he doesn't have any offers yet? And, he played good, but maybe the school he's at, for scenario, maybe this JUCO, they haven't seen him yet. Maybe he's a dark horse or he's an underdog. He's put good numbers up, but what should you suggest for him to do if he's played JUCO ball, has some solid, let's just say solid number, not great numbers, solid numbers, and unfortunately he doesn't have that opportunity that he wants? What would you suggest him to do?
Oh, well, this is another harsh reality in JUCO. Not all your coaches really care if they get you to the next level. So you not only are your own, nutritionist, trainer, tutor, and all that other stuff, you're also your own recruiter sometimes. Not everyone can afford to have a recruiting coordinator. But if you get online and you look at these, I was doing it yesterday, the D2, D3, D1 prospect camps, it says ninth grade to JUCO. You got to keep putting your name out there. You got to still send the emails. You still got to reach out to coaches. You have to put yourself out there, because just because you're getting a number, just because you got, region 19 player of the week, or you made the all region team, that don't mean the coaches are looking there. You still have to do the work. This is probably one of the most important parts of life, and that I learned, if you identify a problem and nobody's helping you get to the solution, then it's on you to get to the solution, because this is the harsh reality of the world. Your problems are just that, your problems. So if you want to fix your problems, you need to take accountability for that. Don't be the next guy from your hometown saying, oh man, I had everything that it took to get there, but so-and-so didn't do this for me. My coach did this to me. Nobody cares. I'm sick of hearing it. If you want better, do better for yourself. Like, you can't blame it on anyone, because at the end of the day, you are your own responsibility. Stop expecting people to do things for you. And you'll see, when you take more initiative and you start making the effort yourself, people will start doing more for you, because they need to see that you want it. You can't expect anyone to want it for you. You got to go do it yourself. Like, stop looking for other people to do what you want, and just do it yourself.
Man, well, you're good. This is episode 94, right? I said 94.
Really, you're showing me, like, you're serving them up to me, because this is what I've dedicated a lot of my life to, is like these questions.
Man, this is so good, boy. This is so.
I'm seeing it.
Whew, this is so good. This is, man. I mean, even I don't even play baseball no more. I'm a coach, but this is so good, man. If you don't understand, if you don't get nothing out of this episode, I don't know what this is awesome, man. And it says here, James 2:17, even so faith, if you have it and don't work it, it's dead. I'm paraphrasing it. Faith without works is dead. Make it happen. Go make it happen.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there. Go where they are. Go where they are. You know what? It may not happen the first time, and it may not happen the second time. It may not happen the third time. But what else you got to do in life? Anyway, what else we got to do?
It's your dream.
It's your dream. So
there's a Jose Altuve is a good example. And when he was in Venezuela, I believe he went to, they wouldn't let him in, and they let him in. He didn't do well, but he kept showing up, and he kept showing up, and he kept showing up. You see what he's doing now.
Correct. So, this is the question. This is an old school question, because these young kids don't get this part. This is always asking. This is the $1 million question. This is the $1 million question. Are you hungry? That's the question.
Starving.
Yeah. Are you hungry or are you starving? Because back in the day, you could say, are you hungry? We understood that. We got it. We get it. But now you said, are you hungry or are you starving? Because I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me I did great in this situation, high school, right? And I did pretty doggone good in JUCO. And you telling me all these schools, how many schools there? There's so many schools.
Over 300 D1 alone, I believe.
And then we talk about D2, D3, and NAIA, and they have another one that's called NCCAA, National Christian College Association. You telling me you can't live a dream? You can't live your dream because you're not going to your dream school. Well, make that school you're going to your dream school.
Yeah, your dream shouldn't be to go to a school. Your dream should be to play ball at the next level every time. Like, from little league, high school, college, pro. Unfortunately, there's not, like, then you reach the peak. But like, don't attach teams to it. You know what I mean? Like, when you get, like, even if you make it to like the LSUs of the world, and then you get drafted, and then you get drafted by a team you don't like, you're like, well, I'm not playing because I
do
that. Do that. So you get drafted next year.
Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? What's going on here? And I'm saying that because you brought up a good point. This wasn't even my question, but I want to share this with you. Share a testimony. It was a guy that I was coaching about 6 years ago, high schooler. He came from Miami. I'm not gonna say the school, but I was coaching. I was the assistant head coach. I was the top head guy next to the head coach. This guy gets drafted by the Astros. Astros. Now he could play at a high school level. Now remember, we're high school.
Hmm.
Gets drafted. I think it was the third round, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Astros draft him. He didn't sign. Third round. Third round. He said they didn't give him enough money. I said, okay, hold up. Now listen to this. Let's go forward. So he goes, he doesn't sign. So they just forget it. They wash their hands. Guess what happens the next year? He originally supposed to go play with Oklahoma State, full scholarship. He turned that down because he's gonna get drafted. Didn't sign that either. So that's two.
Yeah, you got two strikes on you.
You got two strikes. So you know we're getting ready to get in the hole, right? You know, now we finna get in the hole. It's 0-2 count for him. So then he goes to a JUCO. Doesn't have that great of a year. Don't put up great numbers. Go to school in Arizona. Don't do good. That's strike three. Now he gets another opportunity after that. Go to another school. Didn't work out. Another JUCO. Numbers were not that good. Remember, he started off at the top. So then all of a sudden he goes to another school. Same situation. It's like a snowball effect. And bottom line, I believe you reap what you sow.
Mm-hmm.
And that opportunity, now he's a senior now. I don't know if he's going to he didn't put up great numbers, and I'm going to say his name, but the point is the opportunity may be your last opportunity. This may be your last opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know how you walk away from that.
I don't know, but there was pride. It was the pride of life. It destroys you.
Yeah, but think about in that good book that you reference often, Pride and Ego. It's going to be everything that tears you down.
It's going to tear you down all the time. But I know me, like I can talk to you. We're talking, right? We're chatting, giving off some great content, helping the listeners. But the one thing I've realized is when you're puffed up, when you're so puffed up, and everybody's been telling you year after year, you're so good, Aaron. You're so good. You're great. You got people talking about you, and then the reality hits you, and then that needle gets popped. The needle pops the balloon, and then you wind up saying, that's why people go nuts, go senile, because they realize that they made a big mistake, and they think there's no return. Well, you got to look at yourself in the mirror. Going back to what you talked about earlier, we're talking about accountability now. Accountability, and that's something that people don't want to talk about. You got to be accountable. You got to be responsible. You reap what you sow. I don't care if your mother said this, your dad said this. The bottom line is that you're a young man at a certain age. You got to grow up. You got to grow up. It's all on you. Yeah, you can have them to help you, but at the end of the day, that's your dream. Going back to what you said, that's your dream.
Right.
We're talking about being a JUCO player. Do you want to go JUCO? Some of the things you talk about. Now I want to talk about, let's shift it over to life. Now we'll talk about life. Okay. I know your life story a little bit because we talked about it on the previous episode. But, talk to the listeners about how you got this kid and they got hurt. I'm using for example. He got hurt and he didn't get drafted, or I'm sorry, he didn't get picked up by a school, but he got hurt. And he just says, I'm going to give it up. So you can relate to that because you started a little bit later. So can you get into that a little bit for that kid that would play great high school baseball? Then he tried to walk on. That didn't happen. Then he got hurt. How can you bounce back for something like that from your experience, your life?
I think that's where faith comes into play. You have to lean on faith and look at it as like, maybe your purpose was to turn down these offers or to get that injury because you're not meant to do anything besides guide someone who needs your help to how to better navigate the same situation. Um, we can't go back and change the past, but we can use our past to impact others' futures. And I think that's the big part of life. Um, we all make mistakes,
Yes.
but the way I view life and how this universe works is our our mistakes, our missteps are become stepping stones for others. And there's a lot of purpose and wholeness in helping someone else reach their goals. And at the same time, there's also a financial side of it, that because all these kids are so obsessed with making money, is you can use your tools that you developed to to get drafted out of high school, to get D1 offers, to help others get those offers by becoming a trainer, a coach, a recruiting coordinator. Just because there's more ways to be in baseball than playing baseball, but you have to be willing to put that pride and ego aside, and not be angry because you made some mistakes. The injuries, they're gonna happen.
That's right.
And you can sit there and be angry and mad about it and sad and whine and pout and make it about you, or you can be like, these are the cards I'm dealt. How can I better play them to help me stay, keep my head above water, but also help others swim.
Right.
And I think that's our purpose in life, because at the end of the day, baseball is ending for all of us.
That's right.
But the love of baseball is not ever going to end. So what can you do to stay in the game? And that's life, man. What are you doing to keep yourself in the game? Don't be that guy who turns to pills and alcohol and sits at the local bar working a job you hate, creating a life you hate, sitting there worrying about the past. Man, the past is the past. It's not changing.
No.
But every day moving forward is ahead of you. So it is what you make it. You can't change it, but you can use it as fuel and as ways to help others and help yourself stay in a good spot.
That's good, man. Thanks, Aaron. That's great. That's great information. I'm going to read something else to you for the listeners. It says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, thus says Jehovah, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you hope in your latter end." Hope in a future. Basically, you're talking about purpose. Your purpose. I mean, we're in a path, but that may not be your purpose. That's part of your journey. And we just had to use that to get to where you need to go. And I like what you just said, which leads me to that next thing. Let's talk a little bit about your life-changing episodes that you had, and how you had the strength by God's grace to get you through. If you can give me the short version about, how someone like yourself, for the listeners, this is episode 94. Aaron Russell, we're talking about being a JUCO player. Talking about being JUCO. What is? Can I play JUCO ball? Can I play JUCO baseball? For you start a little bit later. And if you can break down, why did you start later? And for someone that have a sickness or still have that desire, that burning desire, because I know one guy right now. His name is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Hansel. He has one arm, plays basketball.
Yeah.
From Dominican. The guy's pretty doggone good. I think he's playing. He had an invite from Dominican, didn't speak any English, and then play high school basketball. Now I think he's in the G League now. Got some NIL stuff. He's playing. Another guy that played baseball with a handicap as well, Jim Abbott, pitched as well with one arm. There's another kid I had on my show as well, Browner. This last name is Browner. And he plays right now D1 baseball. He's a pitcher. He has one arm. He was on one of my episodes not too long ago. That episode's coming up. So talk about, how do you handle life challenges? I mean, we're talking life-changing challenges, and you still had that dream to play baseball. If you can go into your life a little bit.
I learned, I looked at, I had, with my liver transplants and cancer, I needed to be knocked down a peg. I was young, arrogant, cocky. I saw it as confidence, but I was definitely stepping over that line. And, life quickly humbled me with a sickness. You go from 220 pounds of muscle, able to do whatever you want athletically, whenever you want, to 120 pounds and you can't even stand up on your own two legs anymore. So it rocked my world, but it forced me to slow down. and really think about what I wanted in this life. And then it's allowed me to become a mentor to many kids because I use, what happened to me as, a catalyst to build where I wanted to take my life. And now I get to mentor, a bunch of people. But then through mentoring and training, baseball players, it reminded me how much I loved it and how much I wish I didn't give up baseball for basketball when I was young, because baseball's in my soul, man. It's a part of me. So, I dreamt of playing pro baseball. I dreamt of playing college baseball. So, you know, I did that. I started not just training kids, I started training with kids and telling them and people around me, I'm going to play college baseball next year. And they're like, no, you're 40. You're crazy. Like, you can't do that. I was like, says who? They're like, well, how are you eligible at that age? I was like, well, I can't play at these levels, but at, JUCO, D3, and some other levels, there's opportunities. I'm going to do that. No, you're not. You're not good enough. Yes, I am. So I started working, and then I got the opportunity, and I did it, and I played. And it was more so, it's for myself because I loved it, and I wanted to see if I could do it, and I love challenges. But at the same time, it's to show these kids what hard work, effort, and just a mindset of, like, it doesn't matter what happens to me, I can, change the outcome of it because it doesn't define me. So it's just, put in the work and you can live your dream. And, I got to do it. And it's oftentimes as we get older as coaches and parents and, teachers, mentors, we live by the phrase, do as I say, not as I do. But that's just laziness, and because you're not willing to do the things that you need to know, that you need to do. So I'm not just, telling you, I'm leading you, and I'm leading by example. I'm in the mud with them, grinding, putting the work, failing repeatedly, but not quitting ever. And that's what it needs to become in life in every aspect. Is you're going to get mistreated. You're going to get, things aren't always going to go your way, but it's not an excuse to stop. You just keep going and you figure it out. I don't ever know what I'm doing, but I know I'm going to keep working and keep grinding until I reach a goal. And then when you reach the goal, you don't stop there. There's no peak to my mountain. I don't have a prime. I'm going to continue to climb. And I think that's what we should all be doing in life, is don't ever get content and comfortable, because eventually someone's going to snatch that rug out from underneath you. And because of my mindset of that, every time my rug is snatched out, I don't lay on the ground waiting for someone to help me. I'm not a turtle on my back. I'm going to pop up and I'm ready to go, before most can even imagine. Like, how, Aaron, how are you doing this already? Because I'm preparing myself, because I'm ready for you to snatch the rug, because I'm not going to even fall, because I'm ready for that rug to be yanked out at all times.
I like that, Aaron. I like what you said, because you said it so good. I mean, it goes back to what I said earlier in the episode. We talk about wins, losses, and lessons. So basically, you maximize every opportunity, and you don't have losses. You have lessons, because you're trying to get to the next lesson. Okay, because I'm going to win no matter what. I'm winning. I'm going to win no matter what, no matter you look at it. But that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. If you don't mind sharing with the audience that's listening, today's episode 94. We got Aaron Russell, the 40-year-old JUCO star. I want to talk about, your life a little bit, for someone that has been through the things you've been through. I don't know. I'm gonna let you share it with the audience. I know the story, but I want you to share the audience. I mean, if you can give me like a good 2-minute, break it down and let guys know that when they think that there's no hope, when they have health issues, how you was able to conquer that and continue to keep moving towards your dream and goal.
All right. So I found out at 29, I had cancer. Right after my cancer surgery, my liver failed. I'm sorry, at 30. My liver failed at 30. I was in the best shape of my life. That was my plan. I was like, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life at 30. And I was, but then I went from the best shape of my life to fighting for my life. But because I was in such good shape, I was able to survive that. Like, we have the audio from that time, and the doctor straight up told my family, like, he's not going to survive this. That was 10 years ago. And it's just another moment where you can't let other people tell you where you're going or what's going to happen to you, because it's not up to them. It's up to you and God. God has a purpose for you, but you got to be willing to do the work. So I had my first transplant in 2015, and then in 2020, I had another liver transplant, because my first transplant, the doctor straight up said, this isn't a perfect match, but it's good enough to buy us some time until we can find another one. And then so now I had a second liver transplant, and they, I mean, this one's obviously doing pretty good for me. Nothing too major's popped up. I've been in the hospital multiple times. I did a stint in the hospital just before the season started in, I believe, February, just because it's the life I live. I never know what, the next moment's going to hold, because my immune system's pretty weak and damaged, but it's not going to stop me. I tell my doctors often, because they're like, Aaron, why are you doing this? You can't do that. Like, aren't you worried about the risk of that? I was like, yeah, I am worried about the risk, but I didn't live through what I went through to not live. I'm not going to sit here and live in fear of what might go wrong, because that's what too many people do. When you spend your life worrying, you're robbing yourself of living. And it's oddly enough, at 18 years old, the first thing I ever got tattooed on my body was Hakuna Matata from the Lion King, which means no worries. And it's just wild to me how that's really become a mantra for my life, because at the time I just did it because I liked the Lion King and I was just a young, goofy kid. So I did it, but then it really becomes my life, because we can't worry. And a way to alleviate some of that worry is to be ready. And I tell the kids all the time, if you stay ready, you never have to get ready.
That's it.
So even though I may not necessarily been ready for a liver transplant, I wasn't ready for cancer, I'm ready for whatever life throws at me, because of the mindset that I've, developed, but also like the physical aspect of life that I take on. Like I don't really stop moving my body. Like I'm not a gym rat. I don't like going to the gym, but I'm always doing something that's helping my physical body stay able. And because of that, I'm able to bounce back quicker than most. In December, it was the off season for this college baseball season. I worked my body up. I was up to, I think like 185, closing on my 190. And then I got sick. I didn't eat for 9 days. So I went from 185 down to 160, 155, right in the time where you're preparing for the grind of the JUCO season. So you're trying to bulk, but I got rocked and lost a ton of weight. But it's just okay. Like, I don't sit there and whine about it. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. Let's get right back to it. And that's what I do. And I think that's what life is, I use the buffalo in the storm mindset a lot. Is, we don't run from the storm. We face the storm, because that's how you get through it quicker. But like, I think a lot of people duck smoke. We avoid adversity. We avoid confrontation. We avoid the hard things in life. But life doesn't get easier if you make your life easier. Life gets easier when you face the hard. Mm-hmm. And I've been on the back of my shirt for my nonprofit. It says on a lot of them, like, we want the smoke. We're not out looking for it, but we're not running from anything.
I mean? like it.
Bring it on. Like
I like it.
Because that's how you get better. It's like, and like, to just kind of preach on some of the kids stuff is, if you're not the best player on your team, don't go find a new team. Put in the work, because that's the biggest issue with travel baseball now.
Come on, man.
Is there's no in-team competition. How do you get better if you're not competing every single day? We've changed the model to where we only compete on the weekends. Where we only so if you only compete 2 out of 7 days, what are you doing the other 5? You're going through the motions.
Oh.
If you're starting shortstop on Saturday, how hard are you going to work Monday through Friday? You're already good. You're in cruise control. But if you're the third or second shortstop on the team, Monday through Friday, you're grinding. So you don't. The goal isn't to be the best at 13, but because of the model that we've created, these kids settle for being good at 13. But if you learn to compete every single day, you might not be the best today, but you get 1% better every single day. And at the end of the year, I'm not a math whiz, but I believe that means you're now 365% better than you were when you started that year. If you get 365% better every year, probably going to be pretty good by the time you're 20, if you're doing that from 13. But if you're ducking smoke during the week, you're not getting better every day. You're getting better 2% every week. So you're hurting yourself. And that's my mindset. And that's why I got through these transplants. That's why I played college baseball at 40. That's why I'm probably going to play again next year, because now I can better navigate the situation. I know what I got. Like, I look at year one as like, the observation year. I didn't play a lot. But I went to a lot, I learned a lot, and now I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do to crack, the starting roster. And then it's up to me. Do I put in the work, or do I be content with I played at 40? I'm not really a content guy.
I like that, man. You said so much. I'm looking at my note cards. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, sorry. I
you
go
you.
in.
I mean, this. Don't be sorry. It was. Hey, I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining. It was. I mean, it's like going to a restaurant and uses Roof Chris. Get the best steak on it. I want the best steak on it. I don't care what it costs. You basically just gave me the steak. I don't want no steak sauce. Give it to me medium rare and just give it to me. You just gave it to me like it is. And I like what you said. And one of the things I'm going to talk about before we close out, you talked about fear. You did it very quickly, dealing with adversity. You know, I'm the type of guy that, let's just deal with it. Like you talked about going through the storm. I'm the type of person, I'm going to go through the storm. I'm just going through it
Hmm.
because I've been through so much. So there's nothing going to surprise me because I've already prepared from the last issue that I had. I knew how to handle that. So I just went through it
Right.
and I had a different mindset. You talked about fear, and fear is one of those things that stop a lot of people from going to the next level in anything in life. Anything. That means relationships, that means, going to school, that means whatever it is. Why did you have like a background, I mean, a mentor or someone to help you through this adversity, going through cancer, going through a liver transplant? Because a lot of people walk in fear. A lot of people. More people walk in fear than walk in faith. My question to you is, can you give the listeners something that for that young boy or young girl that's trying to get to that next level, how do you fight fear?
You have to be aware of it. I had this talk with my son this weekend actually, because he went to a showcase that he was the youngest one there, but he got invited, and I said, so what I think the thing is, you have to figure out what you're afraid of, figure out what's causing this anxiety or this fear, and then you know break it down, figure it out, and then you develop a plan on how to get over it. I think we oftentimes we make excuses, and we allow our anxieties and fears from stopping us from trying. And that's never been me. And I think I've never really had anyone to look up to or guide me or help me besides failing repeatedly but not stopping. And I think what helped me develop this resiliency is I was adopted by an all white family. I grew up in you know lesser income white neighborhoods where there's a lot of ignorance.
Mm.
So I never really felt welcomed. So from a very young age, I had a choice. I could either sit in my room and feel bad for myself and be afraid of the ignorance and the dumb things I that people would say to me, or the situations and things I had to deal with. From living in upstate New York, where there was never a lot of people that looked at me, and then you move to Florida, to where the town I lived in was literally separated by a street. Black people lived over here, white people lived over here. I look very much like, for being mixed, I look a lot more on the black side than I do the white side, but I lived on the white side. So I could, I had to learn how to live in a community that nobody looked like me. And not a lot of people really fully understand how hard that could be. People try to discredit it, but we live in a very ignorant world, and when you look different, it's uncomfortable. And I asked my white friends, like, how many times have you walked in the room and you're the only person who looks like you in there? And there's not a single one that can say they've ever done that. So I've learned at a very young age, like, I'm not afraid to do anything by myself. I never looked at myself as a black person or a white person. I'm a person. I can go on this side of the street and I can go on this side of the street, and I don't change the way I act on either side of the street.
Come on,
And I
man.
think because of that, people may not have liked me right away, and they might not have liked me ever, but that was never my concern. I've never been, looking to be liked. I look to be respected and appreciated and seen. And a lot of times when I'm on, the white side of the street, I would go unseen or unrecognized because they didn't want to give me the credit for the things that I was doing. But that just made me work harder. And then, when I go to the black side of the street, it really like it's really just welcome with open arms. Like the black community really is just so friendly. Like it's way less judgment and a lot more acceptance. So I felt a little more comfortable there, but at the same time, I also looked more that way. But I think because of that, I've learned how to navigate through life. And I think that's the most important part is like, stop looking for someone to clear the path for you. Figure out who you are, who you want to be, and then be that all the time. No matter who you are around, you don't switch up. Be true to you. And that doesn't mean staying the same. It means you grow through that. But stay true to your core principles and don't do things to be liked. Do things to be respected. Surround yourself with similar, mindset people and people that are going to help you grow and people you can learn from. And you'll only continue to grow and prosper. And before you know it, people will look far beyond the surface to who you are, and they're going to love you they're going to love you to your core, and then they're going to start helping you, get to where you want to go. And then that's when you really start to like get everything, moving quicker. And that's kind of where I'm at now. It took 30 years, but I'm able to move at a different pace because I have such support from everyone. In society, we look for so many ways to divide us, and that ain't it, man. But the thing is, kids and even a lot of people my age, they don't know who they are because they're always trying to be something else. They're trying to be what they think society wants them to be. That's not it. We are all one of one, beautiful pieces of God's puzzle. But you got to find where you belong in that puzzle. But you'll never find out where you fit in God's puzzle if you aren't willing to be the way, your true original shape. And I think that's the most important piece of advice to give to any young person. Whether you're an athlete, you're in the band, you want to be an electrician, no matter what you are into, be that. And don't ever apologize for being who you are. Just keep working on becoming a better version of you, and you will fit perfectly into God's puzzle, and you will find where you belong in God's puzzle on His time, not our time.
Wow.
Yeah, I care about that's probably the most important part of it all is like
That's the
finding out
most
who you
important
are.
part. And I'm gonna hit it with this. I got one more question. I'm gonna close out. It says here, and God said, let us make man in our image. That means God. After our likeness. That means God. Let them, that means you, have dominion over every fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over the cattle and over all the earth and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. God created man in his own image. Genesis 1, 26, 27, and 28. So basically, don't be a copycat because you're original. That's the bottom line. I got one last question before we close out. You know, I want to say congratulations on your first full season, coming back, making a comeback. I think that you continue to keep moving forward, whatever your dream is, whatever you feel that God, your purpose, you keep going. That's part of your purpose, and you're impacting souls. Impacting souls to get to that next dimension of wherever God wants them to be. My last question is this: you know, being we know that nowadays people transfer. They transfer like hot potatoes. It's like turn the water on. From your experience, coming from where you are, seeing guys coming in, when is a good time or bad time to be in a transfer portal? From your experience as a JUCO player, because that's something that's going on all the time.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I was talking to a coach over the weekend. He said of 300 and some odd schools at the D1 level, there's 2 schools that didn't have a kid transfer to portal. So I think to speak on that, it's a tough one to know when is the right time. So I guess it kind of depends on who's coming in. If they're bringing in someone to replace you, then probably should find a new home, especially as an upperclassman. But if it's just going to be making sure you have your ducks in a row when you make that move, because a lot of athletes are dying in the portal and never getting another opportunity. There's nothing wrong with being loyal to a program, and you may be the starting shortstop as a sophomore, but then your junior year, that freshman kid hits a growth spurt, gets strong as hell, and develops, and now you become, the second shortstop as a junior, and you're sitting behind a sophomore now. There's nothing wrong with that, and finish if they're still willing to give you the same. If they're not changing your scholarship, why would you leave? Be loyal to the program. There's guys that aren't starters that get drafted. You have your summer ball opportunities. Don't lose sight of the importance of loyalty. I think that's probably the most important part of that. So have, open, honest conversations with your coaches about it. And if they come to you and if you have that conversation, they say, like, listen, man, like, Aaron, like, we don't really have a spot for you anymore. Probably should get in the portal. If they say to you, Aaron, this sophomore, he's outworked you. He's taken your spot. He's not telling you to leave. He's really telling you to work harder.
Right.
So you have to be, have the tough conversations, and then don't take it personal. But at the same time, take it personal.
Right.
If he's challenged you to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
But if he don't take it personal, if someone replaces you and he tells you no longer has a spot for you, it's time to move on. Like, doors open, doors close all the time. And if you sit there, you sit on that train too long and you miss your station, it's going to take a lot longer to get home. So you just got to be willing to make a move.
That's it. I like that, Aaron. Thank you, man. It's been great with this episode 94, Aaron Russell. And one closing remarks. I want to ask you this one last question. And I asked all of my listeners, all my guests. The question is this: if you had to make Mount Everest baseball players, who are your 4 best baseball players of all time, Mount Everest, on your mountain?
My mountain, 4, I would go Barry Bonds, Greg Maddux. Let me see. Who would be my other 2? I got to put Griffey on there and Chipper Jones.
Chipper, huh?
They're not. They may not all necessarily be the best players, but they're my 4 best players. Just love them all. Griffey, Bonds, Maddux, and the one that people are probably like, what the most about, Chipper Jones. If you really watch him and learn from him and get an opportunity to talk to him, he's just an incredible dude who he put in the work. He was loyal, and he was good.
Yeah,
One of the greatest, but he did his thing.
He did his thing, man. And if you don't mind, give our closing remarks and also a way that people can contact you on the social media if they need to connect with you for your nonprofit and any information that you might be able to assist them with.
So I'm on all socials for myself, Coach Aaron R, on TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook. Just search Aaron Russell, pop up. I have a nonprofit, Pops Culture, and that's just it's a play on father figure. Whatever these kids need, I try to provide them. I'm not going to be their friends, but I can be friendly. I'm not here to make friends, but I say that because I lead with love, and love is not always nice, but love is real, is probably the best way to put it. So I may not ever tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what I think I need to hear. And not to brag, I usually am right, because I failed numerous times, but my failures all turned into beautiful lessons. And I may not have a PhD from any university, but I do have a PhD in life experiences. And I think that is far more valuable than any degree. And with that degree, you don't have any student loans. So that's a win.
I like that, Aaron. That's good stuff, boy. I appreciate you, man, coming out today. It was nothing but enjoyable, a blessing. You dropped nuggets and wisdom, and the Bible says, "In all that getting, get an understanding." Faith without works is dead. You got to do something what you believe. The question I'm saying to myself and all the listeners, what did you get out of the day? My question is this: what direction are you going into? In Jeremiah 29:11, he talks about the path. He has before you were born. God knows the path. But my question to you is this: where are you being led? Where are you being led? What direction are we going to? L stands for listen. Listen to all the stuff that Coach Aaron has given us today and myself. Listen. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. If we put these things to work more, your life would be, as Aaron would say, 1% better today.
Yeah.
The next letter is E. E. E stands for what, Coach? E stands for execute what you just listened to. Execute. Faith without works is dead. I'm going to repeat that again. Faith without works is dead. It ain't going to happen unless you go make it happen. You're trying to get someone to look at you, get you to play at a school, your dream school, or a school in general. If they're not there, you go to them. Execute. L stands for listen, E stands for execute, and D stands for the last thing, dominate. God talks about dominating. You're here to dominate. You're not here just to sit on the bench and take a lick and keep on ticking. Yeah, you can do that. But while you're taking a lick, you need to go ahead and get the mindset, I'm dominating. I'm not here just to compete. I want to take over. I mean, you're only going to be here for a short period of time. We don't know how long we're going to be here. So let's leave a mark that cannot be erased. This is Coach Larry, very own YouGoin Pro Podcast, episode 94. We talked about the life as a JUCO player, what to expect from a JUCO player. We also talk about things that you need to do to prepare for life outside of baseball. We got a very own Aaron Russell. Check him out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. He is available. Check out his nonprofit. It has been a blast, and I enjoyed every single minute. Aaron, God bless, man. I appreciate everything you've done. Hey, take care, man.
Thank you, brother.
Bye.
You too.